Hello, everyone. Welcome in as our attendees start to fill up here. Um, so good to see some familiar faces joining, some new people joining. My name's Daniel Nelson. I am an account manager with Hudu. We'll obviously go over introductions a couple of times here just as people join. Jordan, if you want to introduce yourself quick as well.
Yeah, hey everybody. I'll probably make this introduction a couple times as more and more people join in. But my name is Jordan Hart. I am the product manager here at Hudu. And yeah, I'm very excited for this webinar and to show you a little bit of what we've worked on and what we're currently working on.
Yeah, so if you've joined one of these before, we definitely try to make them as interactive as possible. We have chat completely open. We have the Q&A open. If anyone wants to toss in the chat, we like to see who's joining, where you're joining us from, and in the spirit of the holiday season, what's your favorite holiday? As we get started here and get people joined in here. Again, my name's Daniel. I live in Denver, Colorado. And my favorite holiday is probably Christmas. Um, but yeah, if people want to, post anything in the chat, again, try to make these as interactive and anything you've got. Patrick, Halloween favorite, there you go. Um, love to hear that. Let's see here. Attendees still filing in here. We'll probably give it another minute here. Um, Texas Independence Day, your birthday. Love it. Love it, Travis.
That's a unique one, you know.
Yeah, that's the
If
first
it's your
time
birthday, it
I've.
makes sense.
All right. So our numbers have started to fill out here. Um, So let's go ahead and jump right into the quarter recap webinar. So our agenda today, obviously we'll go over some more introductions here, talk a little bit about the recent updates to Hudu, what we've kind of focused on this quarter, and the part for probably, I imagine, why most of you joined today here, the exciting part, what's next. So definitely stick around for that. That's where we're going to spend a lot of our time today talking about what's upcoming to Hudu. And Jordan's going to do a great job of kind of walking us through all of those things. So again, make sure you're sticking around for that. We'll talk about some news, events, and resources that we have done and that we are doing coming up. And Q&A, we have this designated at the end, but again, like I've mentioned, we want our Q&A, we want these webinars to be as interactive as possible. If you have questions at any point throughout the webinar, comments, feedback, anything really, feel free to put those in the chat. Feel free to put those in the Q&A. This is definitely the best webinar that we do for really anything, any feedback related items. So for those of you that are just joining us, introductions. My name is Daniel Nelson. I'm an account manager with Hudu, and I'm joined here by Jordan. If you want to introduce yourself one more time.
Yeah, hey everybody. My name is Jordan Hart. I am the product manager here at Hudu.
Awesome. Thank you, Jordan. So we're going to start here with a Q4 review. Obviously, we're wrapping up the quarter here, approaching the holiday season, everyone's favorite time. Things are busy as can be, and of course, we're going to talk a little bit of documentation and what we've been able to do this quarter. So, really, what shaped our quarter here? Hopefully, you like this Ghost of Christmas past pun here. But really, the focus has been on improving your experience with Hoodoo. Improvements focused on speed, performance, quality of life improvements. That's been the biggest focus for this quarter, really to provide the benefit to you of just having a more enjoyable experience with your documentation tool. Because we all know everybody's favorite tool to use is their documentation tool. That comes here with, of course, integration improvements, editor improvements, search improvements. And these aren't going to stop, of course. They're things that we focus on every quarter. That being said, this quarter had a large focus on these items. So starting off here, API additions and enhancements. Again, your documentation is ever changing. We all know that. A lot of people I've heard say, as soon as you add documentation, it becomes stale because it's always changing. So, of course, Hudu has the philosophy that we want to allow you to automate as much as possible, and you can do that through the API. We've added API enhancements and additions to move assets between asset layouts, activity log enhancements, and this is a big one, process API endpoints that allow you to streamline your tasks and processes and automate your workflows. The real benefit to this, this had been a feature request for us for quite a long time, is how can I better automate my SOPs and procedures? And these API endpoints that were added to the product should help with that a lot in terms of automating how you're completing these SOPs. And again, real benefits of these, saving time and improving your existing documentation. We've refactored integrations for better performance. You can see the list of these here, and there are more to come. We plan to refactor all of our integrations for better performance. Just wanted to point out these are the ones we have done so far. Hudu Assist for ConnectWise Manage. So this is a big one. If you have not utilized Hudu Assist, or if you're new to Hudu Assist, the real benefits of utilizing Hudu Assist is bringing Hudu to your existing tools. It allows easy access to all of your documentation, and it allows you to not even have to leave ConnectWise Manage in this instance. If you have a ticket comes in and you need documentation available for that ticket, Hudu Assist allows you to stay in that interface and not actually leave that other platform. And of course, the main benefit, it reduces clicks and it saves your technicians time. I've actually got a brief demo here of Hudu Assist. Again, if you're not familiar, Hudu Assist did just come live for ConnectWise Manage, but it also is live for Ninja, Halo, Autotask, and Synchro as well. So how this is going to look, let's start off in Hudu here. And as I jump into one of our companies, and let's jump into a contact here. We have sales contact, Sarah Sanchez. And here we see we have that ConnectWise Manage card. We have different information in here, flexible asset layout fields, a bunch of related items, whether that be passwords, KB articles, etc. What Hudu Assist is going to do, as I jump into Manage, here we see this widget populate for us. It easily tells us that we're Hudu. And as I'm just on this blank page in Manage, I can see, relevant KB articles, passwords. I can launch into Hudu. But now let's go ahead and jump into that contact that we were just in. As I search sales contact for this contact here, I'm now in this contact, and you see that Hudu Assist has automatically populated what we just showed in Hudu, the related passwords that we need access to. If I want to look through related items, processes, photos, files, all of this is here for me. It's easily searchable. And if I want to launch into Hudu directly from this platform, I can easily do so. So that's just a brief demo of Hudu Assist there for you if you haven't been utilizing it. It is a subset of our browser extension. So if you have the browser extension enabled, you'll have a little Hudu Assist checkbox that you can easily check on and get that benefit of having your techs reducing their clicks and saving time while they're in their PSA or RMM. Moving on here, other external apps improvements, of course, autofill improvements for the browser extension, ConnectWise Screen Connect improvements, browser extension, mobile app improvements. Just know that in addition to our main app, we are also consistently providing improvements to these external apps as well. The newest integration coming to Hudu, Level IO. We did just host a webinar with Level showing off this integration here. So if you want to check that out, we do have the link in our resource center, as you can see here, to watch the recording. The integration can do some pretty cool stuff. In my opinion, the biggest benefit of this integration is the ability to populate Hudu's custom fields with Level data. So as many of you know, a lot of our integrations are going to come in that card format. Levels integration will actually populate those custom fields. So if you're interested in checking out that webinar, I highly recommend going to our resource center and watching the recording there. So that is kind of what has been going on this past quarter. Now for what probably again most of you joined this for, and what we really wanted to spend a lot of time on today, because I think you're going to be very blown away with what's coming soon to Hoodoo. I'll have Jordan go in and introduce what is next.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Once again, if you are just joining us, I'll go ahead and introduce myself. Again, my name is Jordan Hart. I am the product manager here at Hudu. Daniel has so gracefully allowed me to pitch the what's next in the product. It's really the exciting part of this webinar, and I really am very excited to share some of the things that we have been trying to keep a wrap on for the last couple weeks, as they're super exciting, and we are waiting for this webinar to go ahead and announce them. Getting started, kind of our main focus of this quarter as well as into Q1 when we will be releasing these features is to help you find documentation faster, to automate and improve your existing documentation, and improve your service delivery that you can offer to your clients. We have various ways that we're going to go ahead and talk about and how we're going to do that. And so I guess, yeah, without further ado, we'll start off with our first feature. This first feature is actually going to be probably my favorite feature that we've been working on, and that is going to be our SOP generator. This is going to be a tool that you can utilize within the browser extension to record your screen and the actions that you are taking while you perform tasks, and it will automatically generate processes for you and your client for your clients and other companies within your Hudu instance. Really, the goal here is to automate those SOPs, reduce the manual work that you need to create those SOPs, and your technicians will be able to follow along in a super easy way. If you can see that image, that is a very rough entry-level design of what this will look like. But again, it'll allow you to capture your screen and generate processes within Hudu without all of that manual overhead. Next up is a really cool feature and a quite large feature that we are calling global documentation. This is going to live on that top navigation bar of Hudu in between companies and your global KB. And it's going to be all of your documentation across all of your companies in one unified view. What this means is that we're centralizing tools like passwords, networks, expirations, and allowing you to sort, search, and filter across these multiple companies. Another thing that it's going to allow you to do is we're actually pulling a lot of the documentation tools that are trapped behind the admin tab into a view where additional users like editors and authors can actually help with some of those documentation tools. That'll be things like gold standards, flag review, and the asset lookup. And in addition, the asset lookup, we are scrapping that old table design and we're actually revamping it with a hopefully very familiar interface. The asset lookup will look fairly similar to how you see asset layouts inside of your companies. So it hopefully won't be a big change in actually utilizing this information, but it'll be a massive change in actually being able to see that information across all of your companies and use it in a purposeful way.
Hey Jordan,
Daniel, yeah.
we do have a question here in the Q&A that I believe is going to do with the SOP generator. The question is, will this capture the whole screen or just the browser screen?
Yeah, Alex, that's a great question. This will currently, at least for the initial version, will just be able to capture the browser. We do, and we have thought about adding a desktop app that would be able to capture the entire screen, and that's definitely something that we would like to release. With this initial version, it will just be the browser, though.
Awesome. Thank you, Jordan. And then Patrick got a question here on are there plans to make more integrations work like the level integration, specifically adding data to custom fields instead of cards? Give it a couple more slides here and we will get into exactly that for you.
Yeah, Patrick, it's a great question. Rushing me along, but I will get there, and I think I have a feature that'll make you very happy. All
Uh,
right. Sorry, yeah, another question or
nope, we should be all good. Alex, no problem at all. Thanks for asking the questions. Make sure to continue asking them along the way. Jordan, are we off to the next feature here?
we are.
Perfect.
All right. So the next feature coming up that will be released with that global feature is going to be something for companies who are outsourcing their help desk and or they're working in a co-managed IT environment. This is what we're calling Hudu Bridge, and it's going to allow you to connect multiple Hudu environments to each other so that you can access documentation and share that documentation. So really help with enabling after hours support, again, with those help desk companies that are coming in and helping provide that. On top of that, we're going to leverage those granular access controls that we released in Q3. If you guys were around in Q3, we did do a massive permissions overhaul to allow users to be in multiple groups and to really customize how your users can, or what your users can actually access inside of Hudu. Hudu Bridge will allow you to utilize those and leverage those permissions to really make sure that these users who are coming into your environment are only able to access the information that you would like them to. This will be, again, a really cool tool for any of those outsourced help desks or co-managed IT. We get that question a lot, and we're finally going to be able to deliver that for you. Next up is our custom field mapping. So Patrick, this goes along right along with your question. Our custom field mapping, and starting off the kind of the integration side of this webinar, this is going to allow you to take your custom cards and put it into the custom asset layouts that you have inside of Hudu. So one of the big things with Hudu and the way we handle our integrations is very unique. We pull that information into cards and those get stacked onto an actual asset. It's a great way of handling integration data, but there are some limitations such as it's not able to be put into those asset layout fields, which means it's not available in the list view and it's not available for exporting and it's not available for those reports. What this feature will allow you to do is custom map that integration data into those fields and allow you to view it in the list view. It'll work with the exports and it'll just give you better reporting capabilities on that data. So yeah, really popular feature request. I think it is one of our top requests. We're really excited to be working on this and hoping to have it out fairly soon. See all the hearts coming in. I thought this would be a popular one.
Yeah. Um, let's see. We do have a question here. Will custom field map data be available via API integrations as well, like say lifecycle insights for reporting?
Travis, I believe so. So that data will work like a custom field. So it will still exist within the cards, but it'll be essentially replicated inside of the custom asset layouts and be available for the API as well. Got another question on that. Will we have very granular control over which fields map? Yes. So you will have very granular control over which integrations are populating those fields, as well as which fields are being populated by which integration.
Awesome. Yeah, that definitely seems to be a pretty popular one as we imagined that it would be. Um, so yeah, glad to be able to show that off and share the good news today. Thank you, Jordan.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And we did have a question that Jacob seemed to answer, but I'll go ahead and answer that live as well. Emil asked, "How is the licensing with Hudu Bridge? All users added will be licensed." So essentially, if you were to connect two Hudu instances, they would just be charged for the instance or the licenses that they already are. There's no additional charge for creating the bridge or for the bridge users. They would just be charged within their Hudu environment. You would be charged within your Hudu environment. There wouldn't be any additional charges there. Patrick, good to hear. Yeah, this feature will actually make integrations useful for us. Really looking forward to it. Yeah, we're really excited about that one. I think it'll be really neat. So, sticking on the integration train, we have a brand new integration coming out, which will be for Cloudflare. Integration is actually a little bit unique for our standard integrations, as this is going to be populating our website tool as opposed to assets and asset layouts. And this will give you the ability to have accurate DNS reporting and supplement the existing website tool. So what this will do is it'll create and sync websites automatically from Cloudflare, pulling in that critical data like DNS records, name servers, original registrar, all the way from Cloudflare into Hudu, so you have complete visibility of that information. Tagging on to this feature is actually our next one as well. So integrations have longstanding been, I will say, difficult to set up. The integration UI has never been the cleanest, and as we add new integrations and new features to that integration, it's gotten a little bit messy. So what we've gone ahead and done is introduce a brand new integration UI, which should help with setting up your integrations and make it much more simple and intuitive to actually get that data into your Hudu environment. This will be initially launching with our Cloudflare integration, and that will be the only integration at the start that has this new integration UI. We really want to test this UI and make sure that it's as intuitive as it can be before we release it to the other integrations, but it will be releasing to all of the other integrations very soon as well. And yeah, that picture there is a quick preview of the new integration UI. It's a much cleaner interface. It takes you step by step through the actual setup process. So hopefully we can alleviate some of those issues that can pop up from incorrect setup of the integrations.
And Jordan, it looks like we do have one question on the Cloudflare integration piece. That's in the chat right now. Will Cloudflare integration work with per client Cloudflare accounts? We choose not to do a global account with all client delegated access.
Travis, I believe it's going to work on a per client. That's something I'm actually going to jot down just so I can chat with my integration engineer to be sure. But yeah, if you don't mind reaching out to support with that question, or reaching out to me personally, Jordan at hudu.com, I'll double check with the engineer on that, and just to be sure. Unless Jacob can go ahead and answer that or knows that, that'd be great. We've got a lot of people, who are, I'm going to say, inquisitive. Nick, I will get to your question. And I don't know if it's next, but it is coming up with the DMARC reports. It will not be available with the Cloudflare integration, though, Nick. I don't believe initially. With the Cloudflare API, we can add a lot. So this is something that we can definitely improve on. Initially, though, it's going to be those name servers, original registrar, and the DNS records.
Real quick, we have a quote before we move on to the next cool feature here. Got a question from Martin. Any recommendations on where to find resources or get inspiration for better utilizing Hudu? So great question, and we actually have more on this coming soon in the presentation as well. A lot of really cool things happening. Now, in the meantime, I know I've seen a couple familiar faces in the attendees as well, but I'll go ahead and link over my email. I am always more than happy to meet with you to go over best practices and getting the full potential out of Hudu. So I'll go ahead and send over my email, but we do have something coming soon for a more comprehensive, I won't spoil too much here, but we'll have a slide on kind of a repository for resources here in just a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Reading through these questions, I would, if I didn't know better, I would have thought this PowerPoint got leaked to you all. Actually, all three of the questions currently in the Q&A right now, we will be touching on. Travis actually has a question though. We've learned that inactivation of assets is being disabled across all integrations. We've struggled with that not working well for some Aavik, but it's been reliable for others. Travis, yeah, we have taken away that feature, I believe, for every integration. We did release it in hopes to make that a really useful feature to go ahead and inactivate, although none of the integration APIs actually support that, and it's been a workaround for our feature was essentially a workaround to go ahead and accomplish that. Unfortunately, it's not a consistent workaround, and it results in active assets being inactivated inside of Hudu. So we're going to pull that. We are pulling that feature, or have pulled that, I believe, from all of the integrations currently. We're going to continue to evaluate how we can make that feature better. But currently, with the lack of support on their APIs, it's been quite difficult for us to get that working correctly. So cool. So I will, again, a lot of these questions that are in the Q&A, I will try and get to if I don't touch on them just in the presentation. But I believe right now all of the Q&A questions relate to something else. Cool. So starting out on this next update is going to be photo folders. So we did release our photo gallery, providing a centralized location for client photos inside of your company in 2024. It has been a great feature. We've expanded on it with the mobile app and being able to upload photos, take photos and upload photos from the mobile app, but it does lack some organization. So what we're focused on in this next feature is going to be adding that organization to the photo gallery. So that's going to include folders for keeping your gallery clean with a drag and drop folder editor, photos folder, new tools and abilities to streamline photo management, as well as some additional editing capabilities to make sure those photos are looking exactly how you want them inside of your client gallery. You can go on to the next one. All right, so I did talk about the SOP generator and how it's going to help with the manual creation of standard operating procedures and processes inside of Hudu. We've got more process enhancements as well coming. So that'll be things like adding subtasks to your process steps for better organization. Not everything can fit into a single task and doesn't quite make sense to create another task for it. This will also allow you to assign those subtasks to different people if maybe more than one person needs to work on a particular item. This will also include being able to schedule reoccurring processes for your SOPs. That way you can set a date on when you want this to go ahead, that process to go ahead and be completed again. And you could run that as many times as you'd like without having to go ahead and manually create new processes for that. And then lastly, probably the coolest one is going to be utilizing webhook triggers. Sorry, Dan, you can go back to that last one. Is going to be utilizing webhook triggers to automate a lot of actions for processes. This would be things like being alerted when you're assigned a process, when a process is completed, and a few other things that you can go ahead and accomplish. All right, now you can go to the next one.
I was too excited. I jumped the gun on what some people have been asking the Q&A about.
Yeah, hard not to be, hard not to be. So in this feature, we are making some enhancements to the website tracking. So like I mentioned, we are releasing a Cloudflare integration that will be an enhancement to the website tools in itself, but we're going to add some additional functionality to the website tools as well. That'll be like DMARC, DKIM, SPF monitoring to improve email security, the Cloudflare integration, obviously, and then as well as adding revision histories to track changes to DNS, Whois, etc. This has been a big feature request for us. And now that we're kind of taking a look at the websites a little bit more in depth, there's a lot of things that we can do to improve that tool.
Looks like that answered Andy's question there. Only other question we have in the Q&A here is back to photos. Will the photo improvements also allow for some in-browser zooming in the Lightbox?
Patrick, so for the photo improvements, that's going to be a little bit of a two-part thing. We do have some plans for the kind of in-browser zooming and editing. This initial release is going to primarily focus on the folders and organization, making sure that you get those folder or photos in the correct spot, as well as some minor editing abilities. But we are going to continue looking at that. We actually have quite a large feature sheet on the changes that we want to make for photos, but we want to get the folders out first and some of those basic editing capabilities before we start expanding on that.
Awesome. Thank you, Jordan. I believe that's all the questions for now. So you good to move on to the next slide here?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, a question on the website tracking just came in, Emil. I believe that will be available for the global as well. Global actually already is available, or sorry, websites are already available for the global in that next update with the global feature. So the DMARC should be as well when that releases. All righty. So, in one of our most colorful updates to date, we're going to be making some flag improvements. So, what this is going to include is just new colors. I believe currently you're limited to 4 different colors. As you can see, we're adding a ton of new colors so that you can organize those flags and have flag options for the flags that you create. And then the cooler part of this is that flags are going to be available to more things inside of Hudu. So you can actually flag additional documentation inside of your Hudu instance. That'll be things like companies, passwords, processes. Flags can be added to all of those or will be added to all of those. That way you can really utilize the power of flags however you'd like. In addition to this, kind of skipping back to my global feature, the flag review capabilities will be available within the global as well, so that additional users can actually be a part of that review system. It'll no longer be limited to the admins. It'll be available to users who can actually they can view the flags that they have access or company access to. So Nick, I don't believe flags will be able to trigger a webhook with this, or they're not able to trigger a webhook with this update, but it is something that we're looking at. That's probably going to be in our next product update where we'll talk about that. We have some cool plans for the webhooks and the alerting feature, but won't be in this upcoming quarter. All right. So another super popular feature request is going to be our relation field. We currently have a field that we call the asset link, and it allows you to relate assets to other assets. But again, currently has some limitations as you can only relate to other assets within your with that field. What we're going to be releasing is going to be a dedicated relationship field. So that's really going to allow you to link the assets to everything else. You can currently do this with our standard relationship on the sidebar, but the limitation there is that your technicians have to go through adding and editing an asset, and then they have to save and go remember to add it on that right-hand sidebar. What we're going to be doing is adding that as a field option so that those technicians can stay in their flow of adding or editing an asset and add those relationships, save it, and then they'll be available and already populated for them. Really neat if you need to require a relationship for an asset, you could go ahead and make that field required. And then there's no way that a technician can go ahead and forget to create those relationships. Other than that, it'll be very similar to the relationships that you currently know and love. That's probably my favorite feature inside of Hudu itself is the relationship system. It's definitely powerful. So this will just allow you more access to those relationships. Daniel, we've got a question, or Daniel's got a question. Any enhancements to alerting on the roadmap, for example, more granular filtering for specific asset layouts, time to expiry thresholds? Daniel, yes, absolutely. We actually have really big plans for the alerting tab in itself, where you can go ahead and do a ton of different things. Again, like I mentioned on that last question, that's probably more of a Q2 thing. So we're not going to really be talking about the possibilities that it'll offer for this webinar, but our next product update should include some pretty cool things if it's not released by then. So
And again, I mean, going off of that too, we actually, if you attended us for our last product webinar, or potentially it was a monthly training webinar as well, but these are great places to give this feedback as well. We were actually able to get a feature somebody suggested in this into our next release in one of those previous webinars. So again, we definitely take this feedback heavily into consideration, and we really do want to improve based off of what all of our great customers are asking for and what's needed to really increase the benefit that you receive with Hudu. So thank you for providing feedback, whether it is something we're talking about today or whether we're not. It's definitely good to put it on the radar, both in these as well as utilizing our public roadmap as well. So thanks everyone for really making this an interactive experience. It helps us just as much as it helps you guys.
yeah, thanks, Daniel. So this is going to be my last slide on the product update side of things. It's our quality of life features. So they are a little bit smaller updates, but they can have some really big impacts to your Hudu environment. First up is going to be infrastructure improvements. So one of the big things is that we're going to be releasing a new search platform. It's one of the feedback points that we hear quite a lot with Hudu is that the search needs to be better. And again, our focus of this next quarter is going to be helping you find documentation faster. So we're going to be making some really big search improvements, like a new search platform, expanded search query support, and then also optimizing the page load times. So again, you can browse Hudu as quickly as possible, find the information you need without any delay. Next up is going to be our table improvements. We did release a very big table overhaul this year to pretty much every table that exists inside of Hudu, and there's still more to be done with that. So we're going to be offering additional bulk management options for tables that may have gotten update, and some tables that may have not gotten those bulk management options, like the museum. They're also going to be able to go ahead and search the museum and make that quite a bit easier to find archived information. So a lot of cool things that are coming to the tables inside of Hudu. And then lastly is going to be the dark mode tweaks. So just making the interface a little bit cleaner for those dark mode users, which, myself, a lot of you, we hear dark mode quite frequently. So we're going to be making that a little bit cleaner, a little bit more visible, as well as got a couple different theme options as well added in. We've got a question from Alex. Any changes coming to the AI integration to allow KB articles to be processed, searched by AI? It is something we have definitely talked about. We don't currently have any plans to be releasing like an AI search, but we are consistently, evaluating how we can make search better. It has come up in the past, and it's definitely something we may look into exploring.
We also got a question here. I know we touched on it a bit earlier. Is global dashboard changes in Q1?
Emil, yes, the global dashboard is going to be in Q1 of next year, fairly early, I believe.
And if you missed Emil's first question about the or whoever asked the question about the global dashboard as well, was when will documentation tools be available to non-admin users? And Jacob went ahead and responded in the Q&A with that, but essentially with the new global dashboard coming, that will allow that to happen. So just wanted to point out why that question was coming in there.
Travis, that's a great point. Bank has an AI tool that has direct API integration to Hudu. Uh, experience has been hit or miss, but on its usefulness, but maybe worth checking out. It's definitely something we can, potentially look more into, and as well as, maybe with our help, linking with a software like that or a vendor like that, something we could do.
Alrighty. One last question and oh, couple more questions in here as we continue going through things, Jordan.
Yeah.
Let's
So yeah, we've got a question. Will there be a way to better connect networks to assets, like syncing IPs from assets to the networks? Stefan, it's not something that we've currently looked into. It's definitely, something I would recommend posting on our feedback.hudu.com page so we can take a look. We have heard it, or I have heard it a couple times in the past, but it's something we really haven't taken a look at too much. We would like to enhance the network functionality in itself, probably again about Q2 of next year. So not in this upcoming quarter, but hopefully the following quarter where we can release some enhancements to IPAM, to rack management, to those features. So I definitely recommend, again, post that on feedback.hudu.com. So that way, when we actually go to start planning these features out and planning those enhancements, we have record of the requests.
And then Jordan, we do have a couple questions in here. They're kind of the same question of basically how soon will we see these changes that we're talking about? And obviously that's going to vary between all of these, but Jordan, if you want to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Alex, a lot of the changes that I mentioned are going to be very early Q1. There are some changes that we're hoping to get out by the end of the year that would specifically be like the Cloudflare integration and the new integration UI. Some other things that'll be early Q1, though they're actually finishing up development, would be Hudu Bridge, so connecting environments together, as well as those global changes and the flag improvements. Those will all be very early Q1 of next year, likely the end of January timeframe. There was so yeah, Stefan had another question on the global asset layout, including asset fields. Like, will the asset layout fields be available in that global view? Yes, Stefan. As Jacob said, it's going to look very similar and feel very similar to what you're used to inside of a company. It's just got it's a global view, so it'll be across companies, but it'll mimic the fields that you have listed as show in list. That way you see it exactly how you see it inside of a company, just across multiple companies. Aaron's got a question. Are there plans to remove the created date and updated date from all asset layouts, or provide ways to remove this field if needed? Yes, we do have some plans, likely after the custom field mapping feature comes out, to kind of reevaluate those fields. That was actually a field that was both were actually fields that were added in after overwhelming customer feedback, which is why we have added those in. But we would like to provide an option for some customers to go ahead and remove that.
Awesome. Thank you, Jordan. Let's go ahead and move on here to the rest of today's info that we wanted to touch on, mostly about news, events, and resources that we've done and stuff that are coming soon. Jordan, I'm going to keep it with you here to talk about something we are super excited about, which is going to be our new community.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, thanks everybody again for asking all those questions. My plan was to give a break at the end and try and answer as many as we can, but it was great to see all those questions come in as I was going through the features. These are great questions. I'm glad you asked them. I've been jotting down notes just to make sure I get all those feedback points in. And please, again, feel free to post any feedback that I mentioned into our feedback.hudu.com page, so we can take a look at those when we go ahead and start releasing some of those other features. But yeah, on to the news and the final slide in my section of the webinar. I'm going to be talking about our community site. We have currently a fantastic community. You all are great, as we can see by this webinar, with all of the interaction and the questions that are coming in and all the little hearts, which you guys all probably can't see, but Daniel and I can see all those little hearts and celebrations coming in as we really talk about a feature. It is great to see. But our community is great. We have a thriving subreddit. We have a fantastic community on MSP Geek, the Hudu, and it is amazing to collaborate, chat, answer questions, see the resources that you post there. What it lacks, unfortunately, is a central location to find all of those resources. So I know we got a couple questions earlier in the webinar about finding resources and how do I get training and stuff like that. That is what this community is going to be for. So what our marketing team has been working on is a brand new community site to centralize all of that information. It'll include a spot for Academy, which will have videos for getting started with Hudu all the way through advanced stuff like setting up API integrations, how to do API scripting, and a bunch of resources there. It'll also include an Ask the Community section, which will function pretty similarly to our Reddit, just where you can go ahead and get community support on anything that you may be stuck on. And then lastly, my favorite part of it is going to be a script library. Again, a central location to house all of the API scripts that people have released for Hudu. And our team is actually going to be releasing scripts as well. We're going to try to release a couple per week. That way we can really build out those that script library and provide as many resources as we possibly can to users who are interested in customizing their environment with more tools than are natively available. So with that, it's going to be launching in January. Again, hub for scripts, events, training videos, release notes, and peer Q&A. And we'd love your help to make this a thriving resource for everyone. So please keep a lookout for the announcement that is going live. Add your questions, add your feedback to already posted questions, react to things, introduce yourself to the community so people know who's responding to them or who's asking questions. I think this will be a really neat resource for both new and existing customers.
Yeah, and Jordan, we do have one question from Patrick. Does the training indicate there may be certifications of some form?
Yeah, Patrick, that's a really great question. So, not initially. The academy will be it'll be mostly containing videos and resources. But the certifications and becoming a documentation champion has been on our mind. We'd love to create a certification course for users, both to just get more experience with documenting and documenting the best way, but also to get those little badges that everybody seems to love on Reddit next to their name. You could be, Hudu certified in documentation. It's definitely something that we've thought about, and definitely something we'd like to release as that community starts to grow. So it'll be a really cool experience. And again, we'd love everybody's help to make that a great resource for everyone.
And as Larry mentioned in the chat, but hopefully not as toxic as Reddit. Yeah, we have a strict no toxicity movement in our Hudu community. No, but all jokes aside, hopefully, yeah, we definitely have some, rules for the community. And again, as Jordan mentioned, we've been lucky enough to have a great community of users that join in on these webinars and work through things with us. And we're just super excited to have this place for all of our customers that want to be a part of it. And yeah, hopefully no toxicity, as you said. Travis, really appreciate how you guys engaged throughout this webinar. Answering questions along the way was helpful and impactful, better than most webinars. That's great to hear. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we are always trying to make these as best as we can. If you've joined us for Q3 and Q2, this one probably looks different because we've taken some feedback that we've got from you all and applied that to these quarter webinars. And so I'm very glad that you enjoyed the webinar, and we still have a little bit more to go, but thank you for saying that. Positive feedback is obviously just as great as negative feedback for us, or, feedback in general. Um, and then real quick, Travis, for your question in the Q&A, best person for us to contact to talk about our overall account and kind of everything you had. I did read through it all, but I will send over my email along with so you can always reach out to me. Anybody in the chat, of course, can as well. And I am more than happy to talk through, anything, especially what you've learned. We can also talk with Jordan about these items as well, being a product manager, depending on what exactly you would like to kind of share and lessons and talk about. But yeah, that's great. I love that idea. And we are always happy, Jordan and myself, to have direct contact with all of our customers here and make sure that you're getting all of the assistance and help that's needed, as well as just really for anything. We try to make the experience with Hudu as easy as possible, and we try to be, there for you every step of the way. So that being said, that kind of leads us to our next couple of points here, which is great. Our documentation beats conversation series, which if you haven't been following along with, each quarter, we've been doing kind of new topics related to your documentation and providing resources that we hope can help you in your documentation practices and really benefit you and how you and your team work. Those include blogs, tips and tricks, downloadable resources, and of course, what I mentioned earlier, our partner webinars, our monthly training webinars, and these quarter recap webinars. The other cool thing we do is a AMA with somebody from the community, and I'll touch on a little bit more about this past quarter's AMA here in a bit. With that last quarter webinar, we talked a little bit about our new permissions overhaul and kind of what we felt was we wanted to talk really about more of the benefits of that within this quarter. And so that's what a lot of these tips and tricks and blogs was focused on this quarter, is user management and how you can really apply these new features to really benefit you and your organization, utilizing better user management tools, such as the ability to add users to multiple groups and being able to manage permissions from the user profile, really making your experience with Hudu a lot easier in managing your users. So just wanted to point that out. We have resources on them with new features that come out. We will provide new training material for, and with our community coming soon, that'll all live there as well. For now, Resources Center is a great place to find kind of everything that we've been releasing in general. Jordan, if you wouldn't mind sending over a link to at least the Resource Center at minimum here, and maybe a couple more things as I go through them, including this, our recent AMA with Mendy Green. So I mentioned I wanted to touch on this a bit because I thought it was an awesome resource for our community. If you are currently a Hudu user, or I'm sure most of the attendees here are, but if you're not, that AMA consisted of common misconceptions around migration to Hudu, migration considerations, and script ideas. That AMA can be found on our Reddit or in our resource center, like we talked about. There's some really cool things in there that I think can really benefit you if you are trying to get a little more automated with your documentation. Mendy is a great resource, and it was really cool to get him on for that AMA and to kind of, have our customers pick his brain about certain things within Hudu. So now, introducing our next documentation series topic, we've done organization and structure of your documentation. We've done managing your documentation. And the next topic is going to be securing your documentation. So obviously, we recognize that security is as big of a part as documentation and really in our industry as anything else. If your documentation isn't secure, then what are, how are you even handling that? I mean, you need to have that different security. And because Hudu offers flexible hosting options, offering our self-hosted method, security can be a big portion of that as well. So this topic will uncover, or this quarter will cover stuff like how should I be self-hosting and how Hudu's hosting solution keeps your information secure. the importance of having a secure environment utilizing 2FA, SAML SSO, more on permissions, IP access control, password, information. All of that is going to be covered in this topic. So be on the lookout for that information. Again, we'll be posting it on our typical sites, Reddit, our resource center, and of course, once we launch our community in there as well. IT Nation. I think I recognize a couple of names that we saw there. IT Nation this year was great. Jordan and myself were both there, as you can see in our great pictures right here and our awesome looking booth. Thank you to our design team for that. Um, but it was a great experience meeting a bunch of you. That's probably my favorite thing to do as a Hudu employee is just to meet you face to face. And so, with that being said, IT Nation was a great place. And we are going to be attending more conferences this year. Each year, we've kind of set up a couple more conferences for us to attend. So, we'll obviously post the information for that as they are coming soon. But if you are attending any of those, please come say hi. Myself and Jordan will most likely be there, as well as other members from our team. And so we always love that face-to-face connection that we get with you. Obviously, a lot of our work is done through the screen here, but to be able to, shake some hands and get to know each other a little more is honestly such a cool experience in our line of work. So look out for those announcements and please come say hi to us if you are attending those conferences that we are at. With that, of course, more partner webinars coming, more AMAs coming, pretty much more of everything I've talked about for the last 5 minutes coming soon. We're not going to stop releasing this content for you. Last thing I will touch on today, and Jordan, we've done a great job on time today. First off, right where we want to be, is Hudu's beta program. So this was launched pretty recently here, and really it's a great way to. We just wanted to get as much feedback on these new releases as possible, and the beta program is the way for you to contribute to that. It is currently only available for self-hosted users, but if you are a self-hosted user and you want to be a part of the beta program, please let us know. Sign up for the beta newsletter. We could definitely use your help. Whether that be for new feature releases that you want to test early, or whether that be just providing us feedback in general on these features and maybe saying, hey, this feature would be really cool if it had this as well, giving us that feedback where we can then go in and prior to a stable release, um, allow us to see that feedback is fantastic. And so this is another thing that, again, it's been out for a little bit now, but this has been a good way to advertise it, obviously, but early access to those new features. Yeah, Alex, Jordan's gonna respond to your how to sign up for the beta program as well. Anonymous attendee, love you guys. Thank you. Love you too, whoever you are, anonymous. Out of all of our attendees, love you too. Thanks for joining. Um, so yeah, we are kind of at that portion. Like I mentioned, we've got 3 minutes left of time here. As I said earlier, we like to do these Q&A throughout, but of course we are still open to answer any questions that you have. We'll stay on for the last 3 minutes here of your time. Feel free to hop off at this point, or if you have any other questions, feel free to let us know. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining. Follow us on our socials, join our newsletter, so you can stay up to date with everything and watch for our community launch. Again, something we're super excited for. As I'm sure all of you are attending this webinar, you kind of value the community that Hudu offers just as much as we do. So be on the lookout for that this upcoming year. And since it doesn't look like we have any questions, we will give you back 2 minutes of your day here. So, yep, Patrick, no problem at all. Thank you so much for joining. Alex, awesome. Thanks for being willing to help out. We definitely love the assistance in the beta program there. Martin, thank you for joining. Appreciate you joining on today. Yeah, thank you, everyone. This has been great. Again, any other questions, anything, Jordan and I have linked our emails in the chat. Reach out to us personally. We're happy to talk through anything that you may need. Otherwise, I hope you all have wonderful holidays, whatever you celebrate, Christmas, New Year, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever it may be. Enjoy the holiday season, take some well-deserved time off, and look out for all these new features coming soon. Jordan, you want to sign us off today?
Yeah, thanks everybody. Happy holidays. It was great chatting, and yeah, excited for what's to come.
Awesome. Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining. Happy holidays to you.